I'm Glenn Shaw, owner of Shaw Homes in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Started the company in 1985. At that time, it was one employee doing everything, me. I met Aaron Antis in 2007. The top three things that Aaron did for Shaw Homes was he brought in processes that helped us be able to repeat over and over. He brought in unique hiring skills. He was able to find the right people for the right seat on the bus. And Aaron brought sales techniques that we weren't familiar with up until that time. When Aaron came, we were selling about 80, 85 houses a year. And during the 16-year period, we saw sales get up over 400. Before I met Aaron, the only sales manager we had was myself, and I was completely unable to perform that job. And so Aaron brought major changes and great results with them. In the many years that I was building houses before Aaron, I was great at selling if somebody wanted to buy, but they had to be knocking on my door asking me to sell them a house before I could actually make that sell. I had no sales techniques and no ability to generate sales. Aaron coming in as a natural salesperson just absolutely transformed that and made the sales experience better for the company and better for our buyers. Well, prior to Aaron, I would work all week for the company. I'd sit in a model home over the weekend, and I had a salesperson or two, but I was actually out there all weekend working that. Since hiring Aaron, I was able to take my weekends off, even reduce my workload during the week. I went from working 60, 70 hours a week to almost a normal workload. So I've been a member of the Builder 20 program in the National Association of Home Builders for 25 years, 20 years. And during that time, I've seen a lot of sales managers with the other companies that have been involved. And in my opinion, Aaron is smarter and sharper than any sales manager of any builder that's ever been in our group. Now, some markets, they don't have to try to sell, they just sell themselves. But with the ability to sell and to train and hire, Aaron was better than any of those sales managers that were in my program. Well, I remember when I considered hiring Aaron many years ago, the thought of spending the extra money was a little scary, but in hindsight, it was one of the best things I've ever done. It freed my time, increased our sales, and at the end of the day, increased our profitability beyond my wildest expectations. Years ago, I was concerned that if I didn't do whatever a customer asked me to do, it might be the last house I sold. And so over time, we were able to move away from unlimited customization to pre-designed options. The problem that we were having in those days is that the customer would tell us what they wanted, but they didn't really know what they wanted. And we would deliver exactly what they told us to do, and they wouldn't be happy with it. So as we became more standardized, we give lots of options, but we don't customize. And in the end, that allows us to sell more homes for better margins than spending countless hours trying to customize in just every avenue of the sales process. We get weekly reports on sales, on profitability, on production, and it provides all the manageable tools that I need to review the company from a 10,000-foot level.
All right, Thrive Nation, on today's show, what we're going to focus on is how to grow a successful company. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a graphic that is the theory of how to grow a successful company, but vision without execution is hallucination. And so if you go to thrivetimeshow.com/millionaire, you can download a book that I have written called A Millionaire's Guide, How to Become Sustainably Rich. You can download it for free at thrivetimeshow.com/millionaire, but you have to actually implement that which is in the book. And so on today's show, we're joined by a very successful person in the home building business, a great friend of mine, a man by the name of Aaron Antis. Aaron Antis, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Clay. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, so I got to ask you this for people out there that want to prove you're not a hologram. First off, what's the website for your company so people can verify that you are, in fact, a real business?
You bet. It's shawhomes.com. SHAWHOMES.com. Shawhomes.com.
I'm pulling it up, shawhomes.com. Pulling it up. That's the website, shawhomes.com.
Yep.
And when you and I met, before we met, you had been already very successful as a home builder. You turned your dream of being a home builder guy into reality.
Yeah.
So how many homes had you sold, or what kind of sales had you done in your career as a home builder guy before you and I even met?
Before we met, probably about 750 million in sales prior to meeting you.
And then you did the year we first started working together. What were the sales totals that year?
We were at like 19 million.
19 million. And then when you ended 2022, obviously we're in 2023, and so we'll see how this year ends. But as far as ending 2022, how much sales did you do last year at the end of 2022?
2022, we were at like 84 million.
Okay, so from 19 million to
84 million.
84 million. So you're doing some things right here. And what we're going to try to do is kind of demystify the plan here. Okay, so here we go. So establishing revenue goals.
Yep.
When you and I first started working together, we started off with a 13-point assessment. We went over your goals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to ask you to share your goals on the air, but why is it important that you have goals?
Well, I mean, goals are sort of your guideposts that, you set something out there in front of you and you start chasing after it. And without that, you're just kind of floundering in mediocrity. You don't have any reason to get up in the morning and really get after it. And so, I think goals are, you can have lots of different types of goals. And we've talked about a lot of this. We've talked about, having financial goals and having, fitness goals and having friendship goals and just all these different areas. I know you've got the F6, so that's kind of something that, we touched on very early on. You asked me, like, is one of your goals more income or is it more time? And so I said, well, really, at this point, it's more income. And then later it became more time. So, it's changed over the time I've known you since 2016. We're going on 7 years and the income went up considerably. So now it's, turned in the last couple of years towards more time.
Now, the break-even numbers, again, I'm not asking you for the numbers on the show, but you guys have a lot of fixed costs. I mean, if you go to shawhomes.com, you've got framers, you have plumbers, you have tile people, you have so many skilled people, you have a full-time sales team, you have an admin staff. And if you don't sell a house, you still have the service of the land, you still have all the overhead. Why is it important for every listener out there to know their break-even point? How many deals they need per month just to break even?
Well, yeah, because you're going backwards real quick, and it doesn't take very long if you're at the beginning of your business. It doesn't take very long for you to be in a place where, the creditors are knocking at your door and you're, you can't pay your bills, and all of a sudden you're going to lose all for us, all of our trades, all of our suppliers are going to start backing out. So, you've got to know what that number is that lets you tread water so that, okay, this is the worst case scenario. Everything above that, at least I'm into the profit zone. So, you go out of business pretty quick. Most businesses don't last more than just a few months if they get below that break-even number. So
now, folks, again, these might seem like simple steps, but they're all the linear steps you have to take to create time freedom and financial freedom. And if you want to grow your company, this is how you do it. Box number 3, though, is you have to know the hours you're willing to work. Now, your incredible wife is here off camera for accountability. So at any point, she could yell like, "Hey, man," or "Boo." But you guys are on the same page with the hours you're willing to work. And you guys, as a couple, I want to brag on both of you. You guys both committed to sacrificing time and energy and a lot of things to get to where you're at in life.
Yeah.
And then as you had your children, you raised them, you decided to devote time to raising said kids. And now that your kids are older, you're devoting time to raising these kids. So it's not like you abdicated being a parent while also growing a company. You did both well. I'd love to get your thoughts on sitting down with your spouse, if you're watching this today, or your significant other, and making sure you're on the same page about how many hours per week you're willing to work.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't want to grow a business to, make a whole bunch of money just so you can split it in half later.
Oh,
because that's kind of what happens when you don't work out those details ahead of time. And so my wife and I have been married 25 years. We've been together for 4 before that. And so yeah, 26. Did I just say 25?
But real quick, just I hate to do this to you.
I just got in trouble.
I hate to. Your wife just turned 27 on Thursday, and what you said is 100% false. Okay, so the unique value proposition here. Now let's talk about this. Whether it's growing a home building company, or a dog training business, or a haircut chain, or a carpet cleaning franchise, or whatever business we're involved in helping to grow, you have to sit down as a listener out there, as a business owner. You got to figure out what makes your company unique.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you, what makes Shaw Homes unique in the marketplace with other home builders?
Yeah, we have more furnished and decorated model homes than any other builder in the market. So, a lot of times people, when they walk into a home and they're trying to decide if they like the floor plan, the layout, whatever, most builders in our market have an empty house that they walk into. It's just kind of echoes when you walk through it. There's no furniture or anything. And we completely, as you can see in this little video here, we completely furnish and decorate it, make it beautiful. We are the most award-winning builder in the state of Oklahoma.
That's true.
We've won like 5 times as many awards as any other builder in the market. So definitely that is one of our big, takeaways.
And I'm going to throw you under the bus real quick, and I don't mean to do this super passively aggressively. It'll just be more of a subtle passive aggressive. When I met you, you guys had all these awards, but no one knew.
That's true.
It was like this weird, bizarre thing where you had all these awards. I remember talking to you, and I'm like, what makes you guys different? And you're like, we do a good job. And you're being nice about it. You're a good salesperson. But I said, well, tell me about the awards. And you're like, well, we got this award, that award.
This is true.
This award, like 45 minutes later, it's like that award. This award, I need to shave now. This award, that award, I need to go brush my teeth. This award, that award, I want to go mow the lawn now. This award, that award, I'm thinking about retiring. This award, my kids are turning 18. I can see it. This award, you're just going, and this award, and that award. And so we put those on the website, and that helped. And the other thing you guys we needed to change was all these people were saying great things, but we didn't have video reviews of them saying it on camera.
Right.
So it was like your online reputation didn't match your real world reputation. You had so much good momentum there, and so many people loved you guys. And now you guys have, would you say, 100 video reviews?
Oh gosh, I would say more than that. We have a lot.
And every week you
could just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
I was scrolling.
And this is actually all that's on this page. If you go to our YouTube channel, we have way more than this. So yeah.
So again, and this is all the stuff. You're going to grow a successful company, folks. Step 1, you got to figure out your revenue goals. Step 2, you got to figure out your break-even goals. Step 3, sit down for an hour of power. Sit down with your spouse. Make sure that you guys are on the same page of your hours you're willing to work. Step 4, unique value proposition. Figure out what it is that makes you unique. And we have an in-depth guide that you can download for free at thrivetimeshow.com/millionaire if you get stuck. Next box, you got to improve your branding, your website, your one sheet, in your case, model home presentations, business cards, social media branding. Everything that a customer sees needs to be first class. And I was talking to a guy named Ronnie Morales today, and it's Morales Brothers. I think you met him at a conference. He told me this, and I'm not slamming Ronnie. Ronnie, if you're listening, I'm not slamming you. This is the real thing. Ronnie said he listened to our show for 7 consecutive years before ever reaching out. And now he's reached out and he's up 57% in about 8 months.
That's awesome.
And we're going to put his story on part 2 of today's show because he's in Texas. Cool. And he's 7 years behind you.
Yeah.
But he's doing a great job. What do you think that thing is where people have bad branding and they are not, we're not aware of it? Is it someone hasn't brought it to our attention? What causes bad branding?
The number one thing I hear business owners say is, well, I don't really need good branding because I sell everything by word of mouth.
Oh yeah, baby.
Like, I've got such an incredible reputation.
You do.
That everybody just comes to me by word of mouth.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, yeah, but how much business did you do last year? Well, not very much. And, I'm really unprofitable, but I've got great, reputation out there and I get a lot of word of mouth. So when people switch over to starting to improve branding, I know you helped us a lot with that in just creating a lot better looking website, creating a, we've got an office environment now that is, when people walk into our model home, they are blown away. We truly wow our customers when they come to our model homes.
Yep.
It's a one-of-a-kind experience in the state of Oklahoma. And the process of that, just going through branding it so that it looks really top notch. And, that includes everything from, marketing to all of your senses and everything else. So it just really brought us to another level. And when the customer comes in and experiences us after having walked through other builders' homes, they usually come in and go, you guys are just on a whole nother level.
It's sights, sounds, smells, experiences, everything that your customer sees, they're grading you on. And you might not know that they are even judging you because they're not filling out the form. And I have a funny story to share with you that's kind of sad. I was working with a fitness guy years ago, and I'm not going to tell you what state he's in or what city, folks. But I know you want to know, but I'm not going to tell you. And he filled out the form because his wife wanted him to schedule a 13-point assessment. He did not want to.
Yep.
And he tells me, Clay, honestly, I'm just doing the call because my wife wants me on the phone. I don't get leads from social media. I don't get leads from marketing. I get all my leads word of mouth, like you were saying. And I said, well, let me just do this. Let's just, this first month working together, let me get all the passwords for your Facebook, your Google, your YouTube. And I'm just, as the first month, we do this with every single client.
Yeah.
We optimize your YouTube, your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, all that.
Yep.
We log on. This is a fitness guy. He was spending like $400 a week every week on ads.
Yeah.
And he wasn't aware that every time a lead came in, it got stuck in Facebook and went to an email address that he wasn't checking.
Whoa.
So think about this.
That's not good.
And it's like 15 to 20 leads a week for years this guy had.
That's not good.
And he didn't even, and so I'm going, you're spending, $20,000 a year on ads that you're not getting anything from. And are you aware that the phone number on your site rings to a phone that's no longer a real phone? And I'm serious. This was real. And then he had before and after photos where somebody had the idea of let's get before and after photos, where you interview someone before they start working out.
Yeah.
But then they never completed the thought. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Where it's like they interview them about getting in shape.
Yeah.
But then they never actually aired the part where they're in shape.
Oh no.
So it's just sort of like an interview with people that are not in shape. And I'm like, and again, he's busy guy, busy entrepreneur. That kind of stuff is very common. It's kind of laughable if it's not your company.
Yeah.
But okay, next box. You got to determine your customer acquisition costs. How much does it cost you to get a customer? So Aaron, you guys run ads on Google, on Facebook, on retargeting ads. You have massive signage. There's a lot of stuff you do.
Yep.
Why is it important to know how much it costs you at the end of the day to get an actual new buyer of a Shaw home?
Well, because if you want more of those, you know what it costs to go generate more of those. And it's a cost where it's like, okay, well, I'm down in sales this month or this quarter or whatever, and I need 4 more sales to make it a good quarter here before the end of the quarter. And it's like, I know I can go put money into that and it's going to cost me X number of dollars per customer to get there. And so then it's just a matter of, do I want to spend that money to get to that point? So, for us, it's, a pretty high number because it's a big ticket item, but for some people it might be, very small to get that, each customer. But for us, it's, you got to know what the number is, because ultimately that goes into the price of your product, and whatever you sell, we're doing homes. That is one of our line item costs in our homes.
That's what costs.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to any of the businesses that I'm involved in, you go to eitrlounge.com/staff. I put in the password here. Once I put in the password, I have all of the documents needed to run the company, and they're all saved. So the checklist for the manager, the opening checklist for the assistant manager, the bathroom cleaning checklist, everything needed to grow the company's all in one place. And therefore, the business, everybody who works there knows where to go to find those documents. This is the kind of stuff that fires me up and it makes other people crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So with the conferences we do, if we ever do a conference that's out of town, I have a checklist of stuff I print out. I know it seems kind of crazy for people, but this is real. I print it out and it's like, okay, socks. If I'm gone for 4 days, I want to have 12 pairs of socks. Why? Because it could be hot. I don't know. Could get wet. I don't know. I have a list of, deodorant and socks and shaving, and I have a laptop and a backup laptop, and I have patch cables and XLR cables, and we bring 3. You've seen all this stuff, but it's multiple monitors, backup monitors. It's backups for everything. When you guys build a Shaw home, you're not moving off of guesswork. There's blueprints, there's plans, there's systems, so houses don't fall down. There's somebody out here listening right now that doesn't have systems in place. They don't have checklists.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have it, and so they have to think about everything all the time, because if not, they forget a step.
Yeah.
What would you say is the importance of having taken the time to have built these systems now?
It is the night and day difference between running around like your hair is on fire every day, constantly playing firefighter, or, you hear people say, oh, I'm up to my armpits in alligators, It's because you don't have systems and processes. And every time at Shaw Homes, every time that we have a problem come up, we automatically go, okay, what step in our system did this fall apart in?
Yep.
And what's broken in that step, and how can we fix it so it never happens again? So we go fix the process. We address the problem for the customer, but then we go back after that and we go, how do we fix the process so we don't repeat this problem? And the business owners that are running around with their hair on fire all the time, it's because there's no systems, no processes. Everything is urgent. Everything is hair on fire.
Correct.
And it is a chaos world that you live in. And if you're going to build homes for a living and build a lot of them, you cannot live in that chaos world.
Now, this next box, I get excited about all these boxes. This is what I get excited about. This right here is what I care about. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The next box is management and execution. You have people on your team, and I'm just going to give some examples, and I hope this benefits somebody out there listening. You have people on your team. It's their responsibility every time that you do a new house. They go out there and they design, or they get the blueprint on the website.
Yep.
They get the new design of the home, because people want to see floor plans.
Yep.
So somebody's job is to get those up there.
Yes.
Somebody gets photos of every house that you guys are building.
Yeah.
Somebody gets videos of every house. Somebody puts them all up for sale. Somebody answers the phone every day.
Yes.
Somebody calls the leads every day.
Every day.
Somebody cleans the bathroom every day. Somebody builds the houses every day. Now, this is what I find, and I'm sure none of our listeners can relate to this. Some of our listeners fire people and then nothing happens. So work with me on this. There's listeners out there that I talk to them every day, because we do free 13-point assessments. So I talk to 2 or 3 people a day who go to thrivetimeshow.com. They want to schedule a consultation. And the other day you heard me talking to Jordan. I said, Jordan, go ahead and keep setting those, because we set an appointment with someone who's definitely not a good fit.
Yep.
And you could tell he had a little, question if that was okay. And I said, I would rather you set an appointment with somebody than not, because I don't know if who's a good fit or not,
Yeah.
But the idea, though, is I sit down. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he was like, the reason why my team did not get Google reviews or reviews this week is because we fired a guy. And I go, because I'm just asking him, where are we stuck? What's your biggest limiting factor? I have a big process I go through in my evaluation.
Yep.
And I said, who calls the leads? He's like, well, normally I have a person that calls the leads, but we just fired her. And I mean this, and I'm going, how long have you been in business? This guy's been in business for over 10 years, and he's reaching out for help. Good person. We're trying to help him. I think it's going to be a good fit. But so I said, so basically everybody follows the systems until they don't work there anymore. And then no one does the systems. And you go back and forth vacillating from things being done to not being done. And one of my favorite things about working with you guys is that you're honest people. What does that mean? You do your best to do what you say you're going to do. And you hold yourself and the employees accountable.
Absolutely.
But what would happen if every week if somebody wasn't performing, you removed them from the position, and then the houses weren't built for the week because something wasn't going well, or because maybe a salesperson wasn't performing at the peak, you let them go, and the next thing you know, what would happen if you managed your company that way?
It would be a disaster. I mean, I can't just fire my superintendent without having somebody already ready to take over all of those responsibilities, because I've got materials showing up at the job site today, tomorrow, and the next day. I've got trades showing up who need some supervision, need to know what they're supposed to be doing. If I fire that guy with no warning, somebody else has to come fill in that position. So, for us, we try to never have that gap happen. And, sometimes it's like, that you're going to need to fire somebody and you can see the writing on the wall.
Right.
But you want to get the next person up and ready to go before that happens.
And you guys have a weekly meeting. So we talk a lot on this show from an employer perspective, but how frustrating would it be to be an A-player employee and you're working for a C-player boss? A boss that doesn't have a staff meeting, that's not organized, that doesn't pay people on time, that's constantly emotional. I see that a lot. And so management is a learned skill.
Yes,
and thankfully, when I first met with you, you'd already really mastered, in my opinion, managing people. But this next box is where I thought we needed some help, was to build a system for constantly recruiting new people, because certain people work for Shaw Homes for 3 years or 4 years, and then they want to go move, they want to have a baby, they want to stay home, they want to get a new job. And even though you have low turnover at Shaw, certain people get to their expiration date and it's time for them to move on to something else. And because we didn't have a process in place at Shaw at that time to consistently bring in a pipeline of new people, it made it difficult to do the management that was needed. Can you talk about the importance of implementing a human resources program for hiring, inspiring, training, and retaining good people?
It's huge. I mean, that was definitely an Achilles heel for us. And you helped us a lot with that. Putting in where every single week I'm seeing, potential candidates that could come work for us, and they're job shadowing and seeing what it's like to work in our company every single week. It does multiple things. It helps the people who work there to know, hey, there's other people who desire to come work here.
There we go.
And, if I'm not doing my job, I might get replaced. So there's a little bit of that. And then it's also a thing of, the people who are shadowing get to see the job being done by people who are happy doing their job. And it helps them to want to come be a part of Shaw Homes. I've got a very long list of people right now in every single position that would be excited to come work for us if I did all of a sudden find myself with an opening, because occasionally people leave with no notice or whatever, something happens, family emergency, whatever.
Right.
And you have that, I need to replace somebody immediately. And the great thing about it is I have a whole bunch of people that I could plug into that position very quickly, because every single week I am interviewing.
Now, the next box here is you got to do your accounting, and in order to earn millions, you have to automate your accounting. What does that mean? You have to have a system in place for making sure you price your products and services correctly, and that you pay yourself first, that you set aside a set amount of money to pay yourself and your staff. And all these things work together. And what I find is people ask me, often just not knowing, they come from a place of a good heart, they don't know. They say to me, Clay, what is the most important step in growing Shaw Homes? I've heard Aaron on the show. He's a great guy. Clay, I've heard PMH OKC on the show. Clay, I've seen OxyFresh on the show. What was the most important thing they did? And to me, that's like asking a hiker, what was the most important step you took to get to the top of that mountain? Well, it was the one we took there an hour ago. I took a left step. No, or it's that gasket of baker. What's the most important ingredient? Is it milk? Is it sugar? Is it eggs? Is it, it's like asking a farmer, what's the most important thing, feeding the animals or watering them? What's the key to your success? There's just certain questions that I understand people want to know, but all of this has to work together, and nothing works unless you do. So I have 3 final questions for you. For anybody out there that's thinking about scheduling a consultation, a free consultation with thrivetimeshow.com and myself, obviously they're stuck with me if they fill out the form. I'm the only person that does 13-point assessments.
Right.
I believe I've seen it since 2005. We help people decrease their costs, increase their time freedom and profits. What would you say is the benefit of scheduling that 13-point assessment?
Well, actually, the 13-point assessment was very eye-opening for me. You asked me a lot of tough questions that I probably should have been asking myself and wasn't. And so as we went through the questions, I was like, I think at every question you asked me, I was like, oh, that's a good question. I was like, hang on, let me think about that for a minute. So I find that it kind of helps open your eyes to, these are some things that I know I have some areas of weakness. And then there were, I think, a couple of the questions where I was like, oh, I know the answer to this one. I got this one, no problem. But it helps you sort of identify. I walked away having identified areas of strength and areas of weakness, even though that really wasn't the purpose of the phone call necessarily. It helped me to see that. And then I was like, I think I have a need in a couple of these areas, and I didn't really know what to do for myself. I didn't have the answers.
In part 3 of today's show, part 2, we're going to show the Ronnie Morales story. On part 3, we're going to do a testimony with Myron. And Myron just bought his first Lamborghini today, and he's super fired up. And so Myron's about 6 years down the path. We've been working with you for about 8 years, whereas Ronnie's been with us for less than a year. And it's at a certain point that we have to take action. Knowledge without application is meaningless. What would you say to somebody who's like, it's $1,700 a month. And, I'm spending that much right now on random ads and that much money on random regrettable purchases at the gas station. And, a lot of iTunes I'm downloading. I'm spending $1,700 a month on various things. And I don't know if I can afford it because I've just bought another vehicle that I can't afford, but I'm leasing it. What would you say to anybody who's kind of on that fence?
I would say you need to do it. It has been a game changer for us. I don't know why you would sit there and think $1,700 a month is too much money to spend. Go find the money somewhere. Go empty out your sofa cushions. Go sell the stuff that you have in your house that you're not using. Go get, whatever you need to do to get to that place. You need to find that $1,700. And I will say this, that cost was very quickly replaced with the extra money we were making. And I've actually seen, because I've been around you for a long time, I've seen a lot of your clients come in and right off the bat, they're real nervous about, am I going to be able to, because maybe they're a smaller company or whatever. Right. And they're like, I'm wondering if I'm going to be able to handle this $1,700 a month. And then I see them 6 months later and I'm like, how's it going now? And they're like, man, we're just hitting record after record. I have referred several business owners
and they're doing great,
that are killing it. And that, I'll give one example. I won't name the person, but I did send one of my very good friends to you who was on the verge of losing his business because he just wasn't able. He had bought another one of the shops of what he does. Yep. He opened it and it was not profitable and it was going to take under both of his shops. And I sent him over to you. And I remember about 3 months later, I asked him, how's it going? And he goes, man, we just had a record-breaking month. This was amazing.
And by the way, said person just hit another record-breaking month, just so you know.
Yeah. And I know right now, not only does he have way more income, but he has a lot more time freedom because he's been working with you for many years now. And so it changed his life, just like it changed my life. I would say, if you're thinking about, doing a 13-point assessment, stop thinking, dial the phone, pause this video, make the phone call, reach out to Clay, get it started right now.
Now, final question I have is, I think people look at oxyfresh.com and they go, man, there's 500 locations now.
Yeah.
They look at Elephant in the Room and they go, there's 5 brick and mortar locations now. They look at Shaw Homes and they go, these are big success stories. Yeah. I don't know that I can do it. What would you say to somebody out there that just feels like they might not have all this stuff they're going to learn is going to be over their head, too complicated? What would you say?
I would say the information, the ideas are easy. It's the application that is difficult for people. The ideas that you share, there's nothing that's like, oh my God, I don't have a PhD, therefore I can't do it. I feel like it's all very, very simple stuff, but it is a lot of action to get traction. And you got to get the action going. And I think if somebody has diligence and discipline or can learn diligence or discipline, they're going to do extremely well. And it's not about education. It's about action.
Now, Aaron, I got one thing I want to say, and then we'll kind of wrap up today's show, okay, with a boom, because boom stands for big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum. And that's what's required to have success. People watching this, they're going, wow, Aaron, he looks like a normal guy. Well, that's true. They say, well, he sounds like a normal guy. Sounds like an all right guy. That's true. But the one thing you can't quite picture on the show, and I want to just give that gift to you folks who are watching, is Aaron smells tremendous. It's like if you had smell-o-vision, if you could just get up there and just smell that, it's incredible. And it's really, it's his aroma that allows him to achieve massive success. So if you're out there and you're going, what's the secret sauce? It's not a sauce. It's more of just a smell. So I don't know if you qualify to have the kind of success he has unless you smell like he smells. It's a really tremendous smell. Okay, let's end this thing with a boom. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom. Well, Thrive Nation, we have an opportunity all the time.